So we have very special guest in our studio today. He is the Chief of Peel Police, Mr. Nishan Duraiappah. We were waiting for him for the last few months, and finally we are happy that he could make it, and he's in our studio. Chief, welcome to the studio.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks
It's
a lot.
Real pleasure, yes.
Thank you so much. Okay, so you are an inspiring story for many of the youngsters who must be watching this show. Young men who want to join police force.
Yes.
So you came here as a child, like many other immigrants, rose up to the level of the chief of a police force. Not a small accomplishment, I would say. We all know that you came from Sri Lanka with your family, but many parts of your story people might not be knowing. So I would request you to share some part of your journey from Sri Lanka to Canada.
That's right. Thank you. First of all, thank you for having me. And I want to say, because you're here in Peel region, I'm happy to be your chief.
Thank you.
And honored to be here. And,
Same here.
And congratulations to Parvasi for many accomplishments over the years to represent this country internationally, ethnic media. We're very proud of you. And I think what you're asking me is going to be a story that you are going to relate to. So as you mentioned, I was born in Colombo, Sri Lanka.
Okay.
And my family, my father's family was a large family. And as you know, I'm a Tamil, Sri Lankan Tamil.
Yeah.
And in the 70s, my dad's brother was the mayor of Jaffna in Sri Lanka.
Okay.
So the Duraiappah name is
last name.
The last name is, at the time was known. And there are many complexities to the conflict that arose in Sri Lanka, but at that time they could sense that things were going to be unsettled. So my uncle said to my father, you should go to Canada. There's many opportunities there. So at the time, the government was opening the doors to this great country.
So was anybody from your family here in Canada or before that?
One of my dad's sisters came.
Okay.
And before that, and got her status and sponsored everyone one by one. So we lived in Toronto with 3 or 4 other family members in one apartment. Okay. The story many of us have seen. In 1974.
74. Okay.
1974. Okay. And
how old were you at that?
I was a year and a half old.
Year and a half.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we came and really, struggled, but this country gave us so many opportunities. In my parents' mind, they probably envisioned, like many of us do for our children, is to become a professional,
okay.
A doctor, accountant, engineer. And so, like they came with their suitcases. At that time, you couldn't bring your assets.
Okay.
You could only bring your physical assets. So they brought they left their everything back home. And my mom, first job she got was with the Ministry of the Province, Ministry of Health.
Okay.
At 2 Robert Speck Parkway in Mississauga.
Mississauga, yes, near
Square One. Yes. And so they didn't know, anybody really, even a few other Sri Lankan families. And we moved out this way. I started doing my schooling. I'm an only child.
Okay.
No siblings. And early on, when I was young, my father took ill. He had a massive heart attack, and so my mom, Amma, she had to do everything. She worked, cooked, looked after my father, got me through school and education, and sacrificed a lot, really, by herself here. Other family
very
eventually
tough
came.
Time,
yeah, and then one by one, my parents, we sponsored, we went in Sri Lanka, went through the riots in the mid-'80s, sponsored many family coming to Canada. They lived with us, helping them to settle, and many of them have taken it, the greatness of this country have done so well. But my parents always said to me, my mom said, Nishan, go to university, go to school, become an education, doctor, engineer, accountant. So one day when I was in my high school and I was walking, and it was about to be summer break, one of the school teachers said, "Hey, Nishan, the police department, police service has a
Recruiting.
they have a summer
Okay.
program for students
Okay.
that are from ethnic communities.
Okay.
Would you be interested?" I said, my other friends, they
Were
may
you
be.
in Mississauga or Milton at that?
And Milton at the time.
Milton. So then you moved to Milton.
That's right. Moved to Milton, and so I went. And in the high school, there were only 2 other South Asian families. You know the other family is Tiger Jeet Singh.
Oh, Tiger Jeet Singh, the great
the
wrestler.
great Tiger Jeet Singh, and his son.
Yeah.
And so I went into the program, and as a youth program, and I began to see what policing was about.
Okay.
My other friends, they were making hamburgers and working hard in the summer, but I had a very different job, and it exposed me to so many things that are important about policing. And not just the uniform, but behind the uniform are people. I discovered, they are mothers, fathers, their cousins, their coaches, their volunteers. They also have many challenges. And one of the most beautiful things about it is, this is, when I was a teenager, this is when 15, 16 years old, I began to really develop relationships with these police officers.
Okay.
So even after the program,
Got exposure.
I got exposure, and I got to see the people behind the job, and I really appreciate the job. And at Christmas, Amma would bake a tray of tandoori chicken. I would go and drop it at the police station at Christmas Day. We would make curry for them and kota roti and dosa and drop it off. And I at the time thought I was probably bugging these people.
Okay.
But so afterwards I thought, policing might be a good job. So anyways, the thing I always tell people is there's never a direct path to your goal, right? The road sometimes winds, and so I thought, I in case I don't become a police officer, I should go and get an education. So I went to University of Toronto.
Okay.
While I was there, my father passed away, and so when I finished university, almost when I was finishing university, I got a phone call from one of those phone officers that I had met years ago, and they said, "Nishan, by our calculation, you should be probably finishing university.
Yeah, by the time.
Yeah. Would you be interested in applying to Halton Police in the police department at the time?" And I said, "Yeah." So at the time, my dad had passed away. Amma went and traveled to British Columbia to see her brother. And so I applied while my mom was away.
Okay.
And when she came back, can I tell you, she was not happy at all.
She was not happy.
She was very upset.
She wanted you to be an engineer.
Yeah,
doctor,
that's right.
Like other parents.
Like other parents. Yeah. You know what she wanted was, the sacrifice she made to come here. Yeah. She wanted the reward to exceed the sacrifice, right? And as you know, policing in many communities not always seen as it is here as a very honorable and noble profession. So
we have different perception back home.
That's right.
For the police.
That's right. Yeah. But what the community needs is a police service that reflects the community, right? And so that was the start, right?
Finally, when did you join actually?
1995.
1995, right. Okay.
And, of course, one of the few racialized police officers in policing. I knew who the other South Asian officers were in Peel, in Toronto, and a very small number of us were in policing in 1995. And so very quickly,
got the promotions and you rose up to the level of the deputy police chief.
Yeah, I moved around to different
accomplishment.
No, and now and I have now family that have entered policing. Now my whole family are one of the biggest supporters of policing, and now also I think I always tell people your lived experience is a lens for how you can approach your job, right? We're all. I'm proud to be at Peel Regional Police. We have 3,400 amazing men and women. Yeah. And people ask, Nishan, as a visible minority, you're an example or an inspiration for young people. And I tell young people that always you have to make bold decisions, but also focus on relationships. The relationships of those officers are what led me into policing. And when I became chief in 2019, that school teacher, he came to my swearing-in ceremony.
I was there.
You were there too
I
with
was
me,
there, yes.
and you saw me
So
acknowledge
was the
him.
Tiger G Singh.
Tiger Jing, yes.
Yeah, most of your old friends or colleagues, many of
That's
them were
right,
there.
yeah.
Your mentors, they were there.
They're all there, and so I tell young people, yes, your life experience helps guide you, but you need to make bold decisions. If I didn't, take that summer job, if I didn't apply, I would never probably have been here. And I think relationships are what makes the most important thing. We can't do it as a police agency without the community. Young people so much have to, especially here, we need them of all walks of life in policing. So it's been an amazing journey.
Wonderful, wonderful. And my next question is related to that also, that being a person from the colored minorities or visible minorities, whatever you can say, and heading now such a big police force, how much it would help you to understand the complexities of, this kind of police force, which is representing many, many diverse communities.
Yes. So my view also is policing needs to change with the time. We talked about you as a media outlet, how you've adapted and changed. And if we continue to do policing the way we've done it for the last 40 years, the community, it will not meet the community's needs. Yeah. I know we're going to talk about some of the challenges we're seeing in Peel.
In the later part of the interview.
So, for our racialized community, our visible minorities, our minorities, ethnic, here we are the most fastest growing region in Canada. We have almost 70% of our population is ethnic. And of the 70, over 50 is South Asian.
Yeah, and it's ever growing.
It's ever growing, right? And we need to meet the needs and not police the way we did before. But the way to do that is to have a real sense of empathy and understanding. We look at what happened after George Floyd and post George Floyd. What I tell people is policing is not proprietary. So I don't own policing. Policing belongs to the community.
Yes.
And my job is to be a steward of what the community's needs are. And so we have to listen and understand the needs rather than prescribing it. So your question is, how do we in policing do better? Is when we have people that have walked the challenges, maybe they've come from different countries, maybe they've been raised here.
Maybe they have different perception of policing in back home countries.
Yeah. They know what their neighbors are feeling. They know what the community is feeling. So we now, just yesterday, I greeted over 50 new officers that are going to go to the police college.
Okay.
In about 2 or 3 months. They're going to graduate. I would love to invite you to come to their graduation. When you see the walks of life, they're now reflecting this community, and they bring an understanding of the challenges, the needs, rather than prescribing it.
Yeah.
Right. So when we walk into somebody's home, whether you're a third, fourth generation Canadian or a recent immigrant, we ask all of our officers to understand the needs of this particular community because it's different than Toronto, it's different than York, it's different than Halton. It has to meet the needs. And can I tell you, Peel is going to be the most innovative, inclusive, and progressive police agency internationally. Okay. And the reason we're going to do that is I'm asking my people to focus on 3 things. They have to be flexible, be willing to change. They have to be if they're willing to be modernize our approach. And third is we need to be good on the inside, which means we're good on the outside. Yeah. So the people we're hiring now, and those that are here there's amazing men and women here that are responsible. We're shifting our approach to how we see things and going to honor this community in a real way. So I say to young people, if you're interested and you want to contribute to my vision of what policing looks like, apply. We have the recruiters are now. We're working with them to be able to understand how to get through the process, and we're going to nurture them so that they can succeed.
You are in a transitional period of evolving, and anyway, our talk with the Chief Nishan Duraiappah will continue after this break. We are going to talk to him now. Challenges we are facing in this part of the area of our Peel region. So we'll be back after break.
Thank you.